This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com. The only place to be in
circles that are squared. Welcome to the Valentine's Month edition of Through the Looking Glass. I am your co-host, Scott Criscuolo. No, we are not doing we're not going to do a St. Valentine's Day Massacre redo for every month of for every February history, because that's kind of dumb. But we are going to have some wonderful fun tonight. Let me bring in, of course, the man you just heard chuckle. The football season is over. Neither of our teams did jack poop after Christmas, but we did see a very uninteresting game last week. But anyway. Football is over, Thunder from Down Under, Dave Hall. Now we could really enjoy the wrestling season. How are you?
I'm doing well, Scott. You can be my Valentine any day, mate. You can be my Valentine any day.
Thank you.
And I'll tell you what, you know, our teams might not have made the Super Bowl, but gee, it was fun watching Mahomes get sacked over and over over again. It was.
The sad thing was the Eagles weren't even blitzing. They weren't even blitzing.
No, I know.
That was just a regular pass rush. It was crazy.
So that's
crazy.
That was an enjoyable. I watch with I have my Super Bowl party, and all of us at the beginning of it said this was the game we didn't want. None of us wanted either of these two teams.
No,
at the beginning going, who are we going to support? Like, what can we do here? And the first drive of Kansas City, the way the defensive line just destroyed Mahomes, we were cheering. It just drew us in. It was like a wrestling match that you sit there going, who am I going to cheer for? What am I going to do? And they just drew you in the first minute of the match. You're like, that was it was.
It's funny because if you remember the first drive, you know, Hurts and Brown connected on that fourth down throw, and you're like, oh, look at this, nice move. And then all of a sudden you see offensive pass interference. You're like, oh,
here we go.
Starting already. They're not. The refs aren't even waiting to give them the gimme, to give them the chili dip. Wow. And of course, as the game progressed, it didn't matter because the Eagles just mangled Mr. Mahomes all game long, and the refs couldn't. They had to swallow the flag because there was no way you could call him for anything because they were just all over him
that's right,
like stink on poop.
But
anyway,
the football season is over for you.
Yes.
Look, down here in Australia, all our football seasons are just gearing up to start.
Yeah.
So I get to move into Australian versions, rugby and all that. We get our sports kickoff soon, so that'll be fun. But like you said, more importantly, the end of the NFL season marks the beginning of the Road to WrestleMania season. And I'm excited by that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun this year. But more importantly, even more fun is looking through the looking glass, not just at squares and circles, but at triangles and rectangles and octagons. And it's fun. I'm really looking forward to tonight, everyone. I think we're going to have a lot of fun tonight.
Yes, we definitely will. Incidentally, on a side note, Dave, we usually don't intro this long, but working where I work, of course, for those that have known me a long time, I work for CBS Sports, and I've been doing a lot of soccer over the last, probably since the beginning of the pandemic. I did a ton of soccer, and I do more now. So I'm enjoying your guys' version of football. I've enjoyed. I've watched a lot of Serie A, which is Italian soccer. I'm a big Napoli guy. I also like Juventus, but I like Napoli. I've watched a lot of EFL, which is English Football League. That's the league that Wrexham's in. And I know that because Ryan Reynolds owns half of them. And then J.J. Watt, the retired NFL great, owns Burnley. So that must be a thing. Like these ex-athletes, they buy soccer teams to as part of their portfolio. But we air the UEFA Champions League and the UEFA Europa League. So I see a lot of soccer. But Dave, when I'm in that mood, I do love to go on ESPN Classic and watch classic Sydney Swans Australian football. So there was a guy that played for Sydney that had long blonde hair that I forgot his name, but he was like really, really good. And he was on Sydney. And this was like in, I don't know, 87, 88, 89, I don't know. But
with the tightest shorts in the world?
Probably. Most likely.
That was Warwick Kappa.
Yeah. That guy was awesome. He was like the Swan, But anyway,
Oh,
we got
my
you
goodness.
guys didn't come on this pod to talk soccer.
That's a long time ago.
It is a long time ago. It's like when the NBA guys had tight shorts. But you all weren't here to talk about soccer. We might do a podcast about soccer. Who the hell knows? I'll have to ask Andy Atherton on the Pop Experience, or I don't know if JR would approve it on the no. So I don't even think he's watched a soccer game in his life. But he does own an Italian. I think he owns an Italian national team jersey. Well, he always wears it at St. Mary. So anyway, let's move on. Enough yapping about that. All right. So this month, allow me, Dave, because I know I usually let you intro, but I've been so pumped up the last week. Allow me to intro this one this month, because I've just been on cloud nine about it. So, all right. So this month, we're taking an idea that was given to us by actually you, our listeners. If you look back if you guys remember at the December episode of the show, which was our mailbag episode, right before Christmas, Dave and I did a mailbag, and one of the questions you asked us was, and I don't know how we were possibly going to answer this in a mailbag episode, but the question was, in an alternate universe, could Saturday night's main event have continued past November, or I should say October? I always forget when the episode aired. October of 1992, which is when it ended. Of course, everyone's in that kick now because proper Saturday night's main event has returned on Peacock/NBC. We had the episode in December at the original Saturday night's main event site, Nassau Coliseum out in Long Island, in Mr. J. Arsenio D'Amato's backyard. And then a few weeks ago, right before the Rumble, we had Saturday night's main event in San Antonio, and I think there'll be another one right before Mania. I think there's one in March, if I remember correctly, sometime in March. I thought of that, and I said to Dave, Dave, and I think we said this on the show, actually, Dave. I don't think we even talked about this off mic.
No, it was on the show.
Yeah, it was on the show. We're like, Dave, this is not a one-line answer. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, this could be amazing. So obviously, for those that I'm going to recap for some, obviously you fans know, but I'm going to do it anyway because maybe you're hearing this for the first time. And if you are, welcome to the show and welcome to the PTB Wrestling Network. We have great content here all the time. We're part of the Quadapods, which dominate the universe. Actually, I guess it is the Quadapods now because, well, the Jenny position is kind of enveloped into North-South. So it's the PTB Wrestling Network, North-South / Jenny position, the PTB Pop Experience, and of course Backbone Wrestling. So we have Backbone has kind of taken the Jenny position as the fourth part of the quads, and she's kind of enveloped into no-so. But anyway, no one cares about the fourth wall here. Saturday night's main event, of course, debuted in May of 1985 on NBC. It was kind of like a specialty show to air when Saturday Night Live, which incidentally tonight as we're recording is doing their 50th anniversary show, which is crazy, would air. And between 1985 and I'll say 1990, Saturday night's main event was must watch. It always aired in between pay-per-views. Of course, back in the day, there were only 4 shows. By 1991, the rock and wrestling, kind of the Federation era, was starting to fizzle a little. So ratings in 91 kind of fizzled a bit. So NBC dumped Saturday night's main event. Fox, of course, did 2 shows in 1992. One in, I think it was February, and another one, I'm pretty sure it was October. And that's, of course, the one that Shawn Michaels won his first Intercontinental title from British Bulldog. And then they stopped. WWE obviously was starting Raw a couple of months later. So Saturday night's main event came back for individual shots in 2006, 2007, and 2008. One was before, actually there were 2 in 2008, actually. So there were 4. There was one in 06, right before WrestleMania 22. There was one in 07, which I'm pretty sure was right before WrestleMania 23. And then there were 2 in 08. I think there was one in the winter, and then I think there was one. Well, I was at one. They taped one at Madison Square Garden. It was right before Triple H. I guess that was 07. Triple H had just come back. So maybe there was 2 in 07. In any event, they did a few in the 2000s. But it didn't have that same feel that the reboot has now. Of course, we'll look. We had Animotion doing Obsession. Cody Rhodes came out with the Winged Eagle belt, which Dave and I marked out on like crazy. So a listener asked us what would happen if Saturday night's main event continued until at least the pay-per-view era expanded monthly. So what tonight Dave and I are going to do is we're going to go to an alternate universe, and we're going to fill the gaps from the fall of 92, or winter of 92, I suppose, through I guess, the winter of 1995. And then, of course, which is up to the point where, starting with In Your House 1 in April or May, pay-per-views were monthly. And at that point, Saturday Main Event kind of lost its usefulness because you didn't need those kind of shows when you had pay-per-views every month. Before we begin, though, Dave, I thought about this question all day, actually. So, with a combination of dwindling ratings and probably the birth of Raw in January of 93, a lot of people thought that's when Saturday's Main Event kind of lost its need. But I got to be honest, it didn't take long until Raw became, even in 93, I feel like Raw still didn't do what it needed to do leading into, say, pay-per-views like the 93 Rumble. And that's our first Saturday's Main Event that we'll redo tonight, or we'll create tonight, will be leading into the 93 Royal Rumble. And, of course, WrestleMania 9, King of the Ring, etc. Am I dreaming? What are your thoughts on that? I feel like Raw was supposed to be the successor to the need for a Saturday night's main event, but did it really work the same way?
I think I agree with you. I don't think it did. I think that the Raw concept initially, the going live, which they didn't stick to long term.
No.
You know, that had the element of surprise to it. But even from the first episode, it was still, while the show got rid of the jobathons, you know, superstars where it's every match is just a squash, you still primarily had, it was higher card guys versus lower card guys. And it was only occasionally, you might get one big time match, you know, Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect on the second episode, but and so on, you know, Marty Jannetty, Shawn Michaels. I mean, that first year you can count probably on, you know, fingers and toes at most, you know, big time matches on Raw in that first year. A lot of when you actually think of Raw, a lot of the highlights of that first year are matches that weren't really big time matches, like going into it, like the 1-2-3 Kid beating Razor. That was essentially a squash match that they you would have, when you watched it initially, the very first time, if you were watching it live, you would have thought this is a squash match. Razor will win, and obviously we all know where that story went. And even Razor interrupting Ted DiBiase's match later on, that was against, you know, PJ Walker. It was, these moments are scattered through the show, but a lot of them weren't those big time matches. So it really wasn't until Nitro kicked off that they had to rethink that concept, and yeah, the live element helped the show, because you got things you wouldn't normally see, and it was fresh. It wasn't 3 weeks taped initially, but you know, for those who listen to the Backbone Network and are listening to the New Gen on a Mission series, I mean, they've pointed out very clearly that Raw ends up being on the 3 weekly tape cycle, just like Superstars. So that ended up going by the wayside, you know, within 12 months. So yeah, I think you're right. Raw never really caught the formula, or really took on the formula of what Saturday Night's Main Event was, and it's probably not till In Your House that they recaptured it.
Yeah, I think so. So I almost feel like Saturday's Main Event probably had a shelf life. I think so. More probably the reason that they did get rid of it had nothing to do with the programming. It was more the fact that networks didn't want, at that time into the mid 90s, wrestling had kind of lost its
allure,
fiscal and ratings usefulness.
Yeah.
And which of course would be re-energized, a few years later in the decade when when we started the Attitude Era. So, all right, good. I'm glad you kind of backed me up on that. And if you didn't, that's fine. Your opinion always means a lot to me. I was just curious your thoughts on it as well. All right, so let's dive in because we got some work to do tonight. But we'll
just as we start, look, we're just going to let everyone know this is a little different to some of our looking glasses in that we're not really, while we're creating these events between that don't exist, we're not looking to change history per se. We're not looking to change the storyline direction of WrestleMania 9 or WrestleMania 10 or Survivor Series. Like these are our ideas and thoughts are these Saturday Night's Main Events slot where they would on the cycle on the cycle of pay-per-views in between them. And probably it would have been used to build up as they were to build up to pay-per-views or to work on storylines that were in action. So that's what we're at. So these are not like, we're not looking to go, okay, we're going to put at Saturday Night's Main Event, Rick Martel's going to win the world title and from Bret Hart. And, that's not what we're looking to do. No. We're looking to keep the storylines headed in the direction they were.
Correct. Yes. Absolutely. So we're just adding programming in this case. We're not changing things. We're just enhancing builds, if anything. So, all right. So let's say the next Saturday Night's Main Event, so we'll say next, after the one in October, would have been, let's say, December. So let's say
probably late December.
Yeah, so let's say the Saturday after Christmas. 1992. Obviously, we are building towards, we'll do an end-of-year special because we probably really aren't totally getting into the build for the Royal Rumble, which was going to be January 24th in Sacramento. So I have a card, Dave. So let me just throw the card out. Tell me what you think, and then tweak it. Okay? So here we go.
All right.
This is what I got. So Undertaker comes out and just does an interview. It'll be an extended interview. I don't want to debut Giant Gonzalez yet. I'd rather still do that at the Rumble when he gets to. So this is just Taker kind of re-establishing his oomph after beating Kamala in that fucking dreadful casket match at the 92 Survivor Series. Tatanka in a singles match with Rick Martel, kind of a rematch from earlier in the year at Mania. Keep that feud going. Yokozuna faces Earthquake. Was Earthquake around? He hadn't left yet, right? He hadn't left in 92, right?
He hadn't left yet because he's in the Rumble.
Okay.
But he was certainly on the D push.
Yeah, so and then the main event, and the reason this is the only other match, 3 matches, because this one's going to be meaty. The final time after, because he really never got his rematch with him after losing the world title, Bret Hart defends the World Wrestling Federation Championship against Ric Flair in a steel cage.
Ooh, in the cage. I like that.
In the cage.
Yeah.
What do you got? Anything you want to tweak? Again, I'm just throwing it out there as a template. Feel free to play around with it any way you like.
I agree totally with the main event. My thought was the main event needed to be the Bret Hart Ric Flair rematch. And I like the idea of the cage because, in essence, because Flair and Perfect have broken up, you've got to keep Perfect from interfering. You want that. Not that he necessarily would, but you know what I'm saying. You want that. You want that finish. Yep. So love the main event. I think that's fantastic. I think one of the things I always felt about Saturday Night's Main Event is you're looking at it's often where you got the big match on television that you had a storyline feud built around, but you hadn't seen one-on-one. An example would be Dusty Rhodes versus the Big Boss Man in 1989. You've got that sort of match. So I like the Yokozuna needs he needs to be showcased. He's just debuted. They're going to build him up. I like that he's going to need to be showcased. You said Earthquake. I was thinking you might want to go with someone more like a Tito Santana, someone who can just be squashed. I'm concerned Earthquake, you create the big behemoth thing, which we got that at the Royal Rumble where they faced off and they did the sumo element.
Good point. All right, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Whereas I think you really just want Yoko to squash someone else. And
you want someone that's going to bump, a veteran that's going to bump for him and throw his body all over the place, and Yoko could absolutely mangle him. I agree with you 100%. call. I agree with you 100%.
So I think Yoko meets Tito. I think that the concept of having Taker come out for something is good. The talk interview segment or angle that I think probably needs to be tied in with is I think you need to do something with Marty Jannetty and Sean, because Marty had done the return on Superstars in
correct.
Late November.
Okay.
So I'm not saying you hold that off and do it here, but I just think you would want to have an interview with either Jannetty. I think it'd be good to have an interview with Jannetty, talking about why he's been away for so long. Why was he gone? Like he could talk about how the injuries going through the pane glass window, he required substantial healing. I had to go through surgery and his face had to be reconstructed. You could make a big song and dance out of it. And of course, then you could have Sean come out and attack him and they fight. And, that I think that's an extra element. But the other match, I think, well, I get the idea of Tatanka Martel. I think the match that needed to be on TV that we didn't get is Randy Savage and Razor Ramon, because that had been built since before Survivor Series. They've been in the tag match at Survivor Series, but I think they need to go one-on-one, and this is probably the perfect opportunity to do it. I'd kick off the event. Now, I'm going to go far as to say Razor would probably need to win because he's going to end up in the title match.
Yeah, I agree. No, you're right.
And that allows you to say, hey, Razor beats Savage. He gets the title shot at Royal Rumble. Backs up. But he can win by cheating, holding tights, doing whatever, blatant cheating. But I think Razor and Randy Savage needs to be on. So I think you could have your Tatanka match. The only thing I thought of is if you wanted to showcase someone who's returned, instead of maybe having Tatanka Martel, maybe put Mr. Perfect in that match and have Perfect versus Martel, and allow Perfect to go in singles match just to help reestablish him.
I like that. That could be a great match. That could be a great match. I like the Savage Razor. I like that a lot. That didn't even hit me. Because I figured we were far away from Razor getting named to the title match, but this match would certainly boost him. And then maybe on the first Raw, you can announce that Razor will be getting the title shot at the Rumble. Yeah, I like that idea. Good call. All right. So our December 92 Science Main Event is an Undertaker interview, Marty Jannetty interview, maybe Sean interrupts, Mr. Perfect versus Rick Martel, Randy Savage versus Razor Ramon, Yokozuna versus Tito, and then the main event, a steel cage match for the WWF Championship, Bret Hart against Ric Flair. I think that'll be fantastic. Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Good show. All right. Next up, our next episode would take place, let's say, the first Saturday in March, which would put us about a month before WrestleMania 9 in Vegas on April 4th. This is what I have. IRS versus Brutus Beefcake, singles match. Tatanka versus Fatu. I know that's a weird match. Rick Steiner with Scott in his corner against Tama, the other head shrinker. We have the contract signing between Bret Hart and Yokozuna for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. And here, instead of that Raw, here on big time network television, do we get the return interview of Hulk Hogan? Go ahead. Your call. What do you think? Fix it, tweak it. What do you think?
I absolutely agree that the return of Hulk Hogan on national television is the way to go. But I think I would just use what they did on Raw. Basically, just don't have it on Raw, put it on Saturday Night's Main Event. So he's coming out to support Beefcake. So I'm not sure I'd do the Beefcake IRS match. I think that's happened on Raw.
Okay,
Beefcake's
sure.
had his face smashed, but they're announcing the tag title match at WrestleMania on Saturday night's main event. I think that's the way to go, and Hogan and Beefcake can pose in the ring and have some fun, and maybe Money Inc. come out and Hogan and Beefcake toss them around for a minute and pose and we go from there. So I don't know that I do the IRS match. I think that I love the perfect the Bret Hart Yokozuna contract signing. I think that is a fantastic idea, and I love the Rick Steiner Fatu. Was it Fatu?
It was Rick Steiner Fatu. Yes.
Yeah, I love that match.
I'm sorry, Rick Steiner and Tama, but I will add Fatu because I had Tatanka against Fatu.
Right.
But I'll put Rick Steiner Fatu. That's fine.
Yeah, either one, but I think that match is a great idea. Again, I always feel that the Saturday night's main event, you've got that concept of needing to build a couple of other things. You normally have some sort of match that ties into to the direction towards WrestleMania and where you've been. And I think I'd be interested to throw this idea out there.
Okay.
I was thinking the other thing is I think you need all you want your top players present. And in early 93, there weren't a lot of top players. Bret and Yoko were two, and Hogan coming in, that was another element. But really, Mr. Perfect was the next cab off the rank in early 93. And that perfect Bobby Heenan storyline is one of the driving storylines. So I think you need to have Perfect involved. I think this is where you normally get that big time tag team match in between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. So I'm thinking Mr. Perfect needs to be in the ring. I was thinking it needs to be against Razor and Luger, and this could be like the Narcissist's first appearance. But then it's, well, who do you team up with Perfect? Do you bring Savage back out there again? Or do you maybe team him up with Bret? Does Bret do a contract signing and wrestle? Or, is Yokozuna going to attack Bret so he's not going to be in a position to wrestle? I just feel I feel Perfect needs to be on the card, and I think there needs to be some element tie in with Razor and Luger because they've been there. Luger obviously just arrived as well. So
what about Backlund?
Is Backlund too throwback? Is he too early 80s for that match at this point?
How about Tatanka?
Yeah, see, Tatanka could work. I think that could be...
Yeah, I got rid of the other singles match. So, perfect Tatanka against Razor and Luger. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's your TV main event match.
Right, okay.
And then you've got your contract signing, which is your WrestleMania main event focus. You've got your Hogan thing. You've got... as you said, you've got Rick Steiner and Fatu. The other match you could conceivably throw out on this card, unless it's getting too big for the night, might be Money Inc. versus the Nasty Boys for the tag titles. And then maybe Beefcake comes out after that to challenge Money Inc. for the titles, and Hogan comes out as his partner.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So, say that again. I want to make sure I get that right. What's the layout again?
So that match would be, that last match I suggested could be Money Inc. defending the tag titles against the Nasty Boys because we never got that match.
Right.
And maybe at the end of it, maybe Money Inc. walk out, they win by, who knows how, the ending doesn't matter. But then it's post-match, Beefcake comes back out after having had his face attacked, and they could do a little bit of back and forth, and Beefcake challenges them to a tag title match at WrestleMania, with his partner, and DiBiase and IRS could be going, doesn't matter who your partner is, you've got no one. And then he brings out Hogan. And Hogan comes out, massive cheers. Hogan can do his interview. Jimmy can be bouncing around with him. And you sort of combine all that together there.
Okay. All right. So our March 93 Saturday Night's Main Event would be Money Inc. versus the Nasty Boys, which ends with some Beefcake Hogan stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Perfect and Tatanka against Razor and Luger. And you think that would be the main event?
That would be the TV main event.
The
now,
TV
obviously, Saturday Night's Main Event, the main event often was the first match on the card.
Right.
But you know what I mean? That's your feature match.
Feature match, okay. Rick Steiner against Fatu, kind of building towards their tag match at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Bret Hart Yokozuna contract signing for the world title match for WrestleMania 9. And then Hulk Hogan's big return interview. So a little bit of yapping and not much wrestling, but it is before WrestleMania 9, which needs a huge boost because I remember not really being in love with the card. So most of us weren't. So this probably helps. So all right, there we go. So there's your March 1993 as we head to WrestleMania 9. So the next one would be, let's say the second Saturday in May. Mother's Day weekend, because they've done pay-per-views on Mother's Day. They've done pay-per-views on Father's Day. So let's say
they did Saturday Night's Main Event on Mother's Day.
They did a Saturday Night's Main Event on Mother's Day. So Saturday Night's Main Event on Mother's Day weekend of 1993. So we're looking about a month before King of the Ring. This big debut pay-per-view, by the way. Debut pay-per-view. So this was easy for me, Dave. I took 4 King of the Ring qualifiers that they had on the Cindy's and added them here. And then, of course, we finish with the yet another contract signing. This one, of course, between our World Wrestling Federation champion Hulk Hogan and Yokozuna in the rematch from the shit show at the end of WrestleMania 9. So the qualifiers I took, and I feel like we could make these better matches than they probably were on Superstars. But we've got Lex Luger against Bob Backlund. We can make that quick. Razor Ramon against Tito Santana. That could be fun if you give that, 7-8 minutes. Why not? That could be pretty fun. Bam Bam Bigelow and Typhoon, which could be a Bigelow kind of squash to kind of push him. And then, and you mentioned this match to me a minute ago. I don't know if we were on air yet. No, we weren't because you mentioned it. Because they kept having issues on the Cindy's, Mr. Perfect and Doink.
Mm.
And I like that to be the main event. I know you're thinking, oh my God, Doink in the main event. It's Matt Bourne.
Their Raw matches were killers, and I think this is where, I think that match would be sensational. So it's not all of the King of the Ring. So I would have this as the rematch after the time limit draw on television. This Correct. To me right. That would be the rematch between Perfect and Doink. And Doink. So yeah, I think that's outstanding. I think that's I like the way to go with that. The only other thing I would look to consider putting on the card, you probably want to have some sort of interview with Bret Hart, explaining why Bret Hart, he's got the first round bye. He can talk about his desire, how he's going to win the King of the Ring and reestablish himself after losing the world title. I think it's important to have Bret on the show. You said that we'll do the contract signing for Hogan and Yoko, much to Bret Hart's annoyance, sitting on the sideline.
Yep.
The only other thing I think that needs to be on the show somehow, some way, I think you might consider, as well as those 4 matches, you might put a 5th match on the show, because a couple of those, I can picture a couple of those matches still being pretty prominent squashes, like the Bam Bam Bigelow one, the Razor, what were the the other three matches? You had the Bam Bam Bigelow. What were the other
Lex
two?
Luger versus Bob Backlund. I had Lex Luger versus Bob Backlund. Razor Ramon versus Tito Santana. Bigelow versus Typhoon. Those were the other three.
It's those two matches. Those two matches, I think, would end up being almost squash style. They're only going to be a couple of minutes long.
Right.
So I think you would want to put Sean defending his IC title. He hasn't lost. He actually loses the title the following week to Marty on television. So I just think this is a great opportunity to do the arrogance thing, to put Sean out there. Maybe he even does an open challenge. Like, someone come on out, or it announced he's only agreed to the match earlier that day, and he wrestles. And look, it could be any schmuck. It could be Scott Steiner. It could be Hacksaw Jim Duggan again. It could be anyone. It doesn't need to be a prominent story, but I think having Sean defending the title, I think, is an important element to his journey.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because I think we need to add some narrative to this card, because we kind of have a lot of crap on this show. So we're trying to, because what I was trying to do, Dave, is I was trying to promote the tournament.
Yes.
So I figured qualifiers would look good. Unfortunately, a lot of the qualifying matches they booked were crap. But then again, these were on Superstars and Challenge, so you're not exactly getting a T-bone steak. You're getting sloppy joes. So I did the best I could on that one. I didn't want to redo the qualifiers, because then that would have gotten too messy.
No, I agree. No, but I think even having Sean defend this could be a fun IC title match for Sean in May of '93. Non-threatening at the time for who I'm gonna suggest, but you could do a little 5-minute feature, and I think it would be fun. Sean could defend the title against Owen Hart, who in '93 was still tagging up with Coco Beware.
Correct. Yep.
But it fits that genre, that time period. You can put them in, like Sean just, I'm going to give I've giving Owen a title shot. I'm going to give anyone a shot. And Owen comes out, and they can have a 4 to 5 minute fun match. Owen can have a couple of near falls, and Sean comes out, but it allows you to play on the arrogance, and then that can then build into the Raw storyline that happens the following week with Marty Jannetty.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I like that idea. So, all right. So So we got a Brett interview. We have the Hogan Yoko contract signing, the 4 King of the Ring qualifiers, and Sean. And what was it again? You had Sean against
Owen
Hart for the IC. Be our first Intercontinental title. Not the last time we'll have Owen Hart on a Science main event, Mr. Hart. So there we go. So Sean versus Owen for the IC belt. We have a Bret Hart interview preparing for the King of the Ring. The 4 King of the Ring qualifiers. Perfect and Doink would be the headline, the highlight, the feature match of the 4.
Because it's the rematch from Raw.
Right, and then the rematch, and then the contract signing between Hulk Hogan and Yokozuna for June 13th in Dayton, Ohio. All right, next we go to this one. We could do either way, because the pay-per-view's at the end of the month. So we could do either the last Saturday in July or the first Saturday in August of 1993, as we get prepared for SummerSlam, which is on August 30th. So that's all the way at the end of the month. August 30th at the Palace of Auburn Hills, home of the Pistons, which has now been knocked down. So let's say either the last Saturday in July or the first Saturday in August, as we prepare for SummerSlam.
Yep.
This is what I have. I have a pretty meaty little card here. Since they have a 6-man tag at SummerSlam, let's do a regular tag of the Smoking Guns against the Smoking Guns against the Head Shrinkers, because they end up having a 6-man tag at SummerSlam. So maybe they just have a regular tag. Ludwig Borga, as we continue his push, takes on the 1-2-3 Kid in maybe a moderate squash. Or maybe maybe Razor kind of, helps him, since they, Razor obviously slowly turning face, something of that nature. Jerry Lawler, because of course Lawler attacked Brett. Lawler takes on Owen Hart in a match.
Yep, I like that.
Diesel against Mr. Perfect, and Shawn could dangle an Intercontinental title match in front of Perfect for SummerSlam if he beats Diesel. And maybe Perfect wins by DQ or something. He doesn't say he has to pin him. He just says he has to beat him. So you kind of protect Diesel a little bit, Kevin Nash, and maybe have, Perfect win by DQ or count out or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then Yokozuna, Jim Cornette, and Mr. Fuji challenge Lex Luger to attempt to slam him again.
Oh.
Slam me again, and then you get your world title match at SummerSlam. You think you was a fluke, you jumped me to, you cheated on the Intrepid, I'm ready now. I'm going to look you right in the face. Now, try to slam me in this ring. And if you could do it, Jim Cornette will say, if you could do it, I promise, I'm a man of my word, you will get your world title match at SummerSlam. But you got to slam him again. And no dirty tricks and no running up out of nowhere with your little flag polo shirt and nonsense. You got to do it face to face. And then somehow Luger does it, and then Yoko proceeds to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, I really, really like your card there. I like most of that card is just absolutely fantastic. I love the idea of the confrontation between Luger and Yoko. I don't want another contract signing. I think that works well.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't going to do the third. I promised I wasn't doing a third straight contract signing. I promised I was going to do another one.
I just thinking as you were saying it, I'll propose an alternative, but I'd be more than happy to keep the slam, because I think that slam idea is great, except my only concern is,
sure,
I don't know how Luger can do it any other way than what he did on the Intrepid. He's going to end up hitting him with his arm to set it up. And
sure,
what I was thinking is, what if you went something more into Luger's realm, and that is they have Yokozuna challenge Lex Luger to an arm wrestling contest.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you. I love that. I love that. That is
and everything
awesome.
else can go. Everything, like, you don't have to worry about the whole. Like, the match is already booked. The match can be booked, but Cornette and Fuji can go. You came out. You were up. Well, we're going to show you. Yokozuna challenges you to an arm wrestling contest. Get out here. And, you could have, like, Yoko looking like he's trying really hard to move, and Lex's arm just does not move one bit, doesn't move. And Luger can even be smiling at him, like, sort of, you're done. You're not going to win this. And then Cornette can hit him in the back with the racket. Yoko can flip the table and, like you said, beat down galore. So right. I think that would just, I think, add a little bit something different to then you're not just doing the Intrepid, because we've got to remember the story of the SummerSlam match was, can he slam him again?
Right.
So I think that just adds a different element. Love the Ludwig Borga match. I think that's brilliant. The tag match I think is good. Let me throw this in as the only other match addition I've got on my ideas list that I think would be perfect for this show.
Mm-hmm.
The Steiner Brothers versus Money Inc. for the tag titles. Money Inc. go in as champions. Steiner Brothers win this is where you do the title change. You do the final title change. Like maybe because we know they did a bit of a flip, all in a week, and you could have, you could still have them. Steiner's won once, Money Inc. have won it back, and this is the final match. Bang! It's done after this. Steiner's win the titles, and then they're going to move on.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, because DiBiase ends up, it's his last match at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And then IRS kind of moves on to, middling around the mid card. So, yeah, no, I like that. That's fine. I added that. That kind of sauces up the work rate portion of the card. So, all right. So we now have Money Inc. versus this will be, again, last Saturday in July or first Saturday in August of 93, as SummerSlam was August 30th at the Palace of Auburn Hills. So Money Inc. versus the Steiners for the tag team titles. Smokey, probably the last major Money Inc. match.
Or maybe they might be defending maybe it's the final rematch. Like maybe because the Steiners won the titles in June, so you might not want to hold off too long but maybe it's the final rematch for they're trying to win them back. But yeah.
Okay. Yep. You've got Smoking Guns versus the Head Shrinkers, kind of boosting some other tag teams up. Plus, they have the 6-man at SummerSlam. You have Ludwig Borga continuing to build him against 1-2-3 Kid, and you could squash the shit out of him. Jerry Lawler against Little Brother Owen, OWN, Owen, Little Brother Owen.
And Jerry's got to win that. He's got to win that clean, and he's got to beat down on Owen.
And you could have
humiliate Owen.
Just have the family there, and Lawler do his usual, stews a drooling vegetable, and Helen's
maybe Brett's on commentary, and maybe before the match even starts, like Jerry refuses to start the match until Brett promises he will not leave the commentary chair.
Right.
So you can't get any interference.
And Lawler can sit there and torture Brett, torture Owen. Yep. I like that idea. Then we have Diesel against Mr. Perfect, and Shawn Michaels could be on commentary, and if Mr. Perfect wins the match, we'll be vague about it so Diesel doesn't get pinned. If Perfect wins the match, he will get a shot at Shawn's Intercontinental title at SummerSlam. And then we have Yoko and Lex Luger in an arm wrestling match, which I actually like better than the slam. Good call, Dave. I like that. Good call. All right. Next, we move on to, let's say, a Halloween episode of Saturday night's main event. So let's say the last Saturday in October, as Survivor Series will be November. I think it's November 2, because the date's big to me because I don't want it to get too squishy. The date would be November 24th. One of the few pay-per-views that actually had 2 posters. You had the babyface poster with Tatanka, the Steiners, and Lex, and you had the heel poster with Yoko, Ludwig Borga, and a team that I'll have all over Science Main Event, Dave, and that is the Quebecers. So. All right.
Great posters too. Those two. They were
they're
fantastic
great posters.
Love that one.
So we could begin. The main thing I want to do here. Obviously, we can do some stuff. We can do some matches pertaining to all the cards. You have Team Razor against Team IRS, so you can pick like a tag. So how about
I don't know about a tag. I would go, if you want Razor, I would do a rematch between Razor and Rick Martel for the IC title. Coming out of Razor having won the title, beating Martel in the final match after the Battle Royal. I think it plays in. You could have them do the rematch here, but have the Survivor Series teams at ringside.
Okay. How about a singles match between Owen? How about this?
Yep.
Owen Hart. Oh, I just lost my thing. Son of a gun. Hold on. October. That's what happens sometimes when you have a breaking the third wall, folks. When you have a Google Chrome Chrome book, and sometimes your thumb runs over the thing and you lose your thing. So hold on, you lose what's on the screen. So Shawn Michaels defends the Intercontinental title. Wait,
no, Razor.
Oh, no, Razor. No, I was about to do this. That was my match that I just had in my head. Razor Ramon against Rick Martel for the Intercontinental title. Continental. How about I spell Continental, Dave?
I see.
Shawn Michaels in a singles match versus Owen Hart.
Well, I'm gonna hold you up here. I'm gonna play a little bit of So how far out from Survivor Series is this Saturday night's main event card?
Probably about a month. I would say probably about a month.
So then if we want to go into real timelines, Shawn was gone. He was out of action because it was supposed to be Jerry Lawler. And Lawler was pulled out the weekend of the event or the week before. So I've got the match I've got here is I've got Owen Hart versus one of the Knights. One of the 3 Knights. Blue, red, black, don't care. With Lawler at ringside.
Blue Knight. All right, so we'll do Blue Knight. Good call. I forgot Shawn was gone. That's right. So Blue Knight versus Owen Hart. And the Hart family is at ringside. We see, Stu and Bruce and all the ugly kids and everything. And this is where we get the first tension. Very slight, because you really want to push it obviously at Survivor Series. But like Owen is winning the match big, and Brett's not looking, and
you could have Owen, if you've got Jerry at ringside, maybe Brett and Jerry have gotten into an argument, and it annoys Owen that Brett's not focused on supporting him. He's more focused on arguing with Jerry.
Right, and the Blue Knight rolls him up or something. Yeah, something like that. Okay. How about Doink?
If you want to go, I love that you said a Halloween episode, because I've got on my list here, I've got Doink versus Bastion Booger. Because he was one of the teammates of Bam Bam.
All right, Dave, I have no problem with you ever researching shows with fellow members of the PTB family, but don't ever ask Matt Rotella for assistance. All right, we don't need any Bastion Booger matches. All right, because he's the only one that would want to. He was the only one that would want a Bastion Booger match. No, it's not fun. No, again, it's Halloween, so it needs to be gross. Listen. We went from the 80s version of the big fat sloppy pig in Lou Albano. Now we have the 90s big fat sloppy pig in Bastion Booger. All right, I'm cool with that. How about Men on a Mission versus the Head Shrinkers in a tag?
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe like some. I'm just going to type Halloween. Halloween shenanigans. We could do like they did back in the old, back in the 80s with apple bobbing and all that kind of crap. And you could have you could have Taker, a very Taker heavy show, because we really haven't mentioned him much.
No.
A very Taker hit. Well, because who wants any more of Taker and John Gonzalez than we actually want to see? So how about we do some Taker stuff? He could talk about Halloween safety or some kind of nonsense or whatever, and some kind of so we have some minimal matches, but we do have a lot of Halloween shenanigans. Anything else that
I've got one more match. There's one more match I think they'll put on. This would be your feature match. This would be your main event match. And again, tying it into the main event of Survivor Series, but tying it into the storyline that was happening in the match that we never saw in any mainstream focus. Luger versus Ludwig Borger.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that's the with each of the teams on the outside, Steiner's, Yoko.
Yeah, they could be on the outside, or maybe just the two. Maybe they come out during the match. Maybe so you don't start them all out there, because we've already got the Hart family at ringside and Jerry at ringside. So we don't want to overdo all the ringside presence, but maybe they start and then during the match, Yoko comes out with Fuji and Cornette and so that brings the Steiner brothers out, it brings the Quebecers out, then the Undertaker, like you could do it all staggered out.
Right.
Or or maybe it becomes a post-match. Maybe Yoko comes out and it's a DQ. Yoko comes in the ring and DQs it, and he and Ludwig start beating on Lex, and then the Steiners can come out and the Quebecers can come out, and because I can't remember exactly when they announced Undertaker had taken over for Tatanka, but even if it hasn't occurred yet, you could still do the gong and the lights out and sort of the heels scatter just as Undertaker's walking to the ring. So you don't even have to necessarily have him get in, but they could scatter, and it sort of flags the impact that Undertaker can have.
After the match, all right, Borga ended the streak on October 30th, 1993. Episode of Superstars by pinning Tatanka after hitting him with a chair. After the match, Borga and Yokozuna attacked Tatanka, causing kayfabe injuries and forced him to withdraw. So it was around the weekend we're talking about. It's the weekend we're talking about.
Yeah, so you could do this as the follow-up. That Ludwig's fighting Luger. Yoko comes out and the commentators, Vince immediately goes to it. We saw this on, was it Superstars? Did you say?
Yeah, Superstars.
Yeah, Vince can say it. We saw this on Superstars. They're going to try and put Lex out of the match as well. And that could be the whole story. They come in, like I said, the Steiners, the Quebecers are all in there, and then the gong goes off and Taker comes out. And the heels do the runner, and Taker can just stand there and look at Steiner and the Steiners and Luger, and he might then leave. He doesn't even have to interact, shake their hand, but he could just go. But you've laid the foundation for it.
Yep. Okay. I like that. I like that. So Lex Luger versus Ludwig Borga, Razor Ramon versus Rick Martel for the IC title, Blue Knight versus Owen Hart, and we get some stuff there. Doink versus Bastion Booger for like a Halloween schnitzel. Yep. Men on a Mission versus the Head Shrinkers, and they could, Men on a Mission could be dressed as Doinks or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then some Halloween shenanigan skits. Now, let me ask you this. This is my first question to you about skipping a show. I have a Saturday Night's Main Event slated for December. Would you do a December show, or would you skip it and move on to, say, February?
I think you could potentially skip it. I think that the issues you've got with the injuries that were suffered by some of the crew and where they're heading into Royal Rumble, you don't want Brett and Owen in a match together before Royal Rumble, because that mucks that storyline up. You can't have Taker and Yoko in a match together because that's going to muck that storyline up. So I think your key players of the storyline focus that you're going to, you're going to do, you might talk about Luger wanting to declare himself into the Rumble, but that happens on Raw anyway. And that storyline, I think you've probably got a situation where you could skip December and move to February.
Okay, so let's do that. So we conclude to 1993 there. So that leaves us, all right, so we're doing pretty good. We've gone through, 5 shows in about an hour? I think we're doing pretty good. All right. So we move ahead now to February because WrestleMania 10 is March 20th. So maybe Valentine's Day weekend or something we'll do. So the Rumble has happened. Mm-hmm. I've got a great match. I've got a great main event, and you knew this was coming. How about this? Bret Hart and Lex Luger versus Yokozuna. Although, did he get hurt? Borga?
No.
No, he's still hurt.
No, Borga was hurt. I've got Crush as Yokozuna's.
Oh, okay.
partner.
So how about that? So Brett and Lex against Yoko and Crush.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the same wavelength with you for that one.
Okay.
I think the Brett and Luger being forced to team up, even though they're both going for the title, I think that would be a great storyline. You can have them argue a little bit with each other, and both want to be in the ring at the same time as Yokozuna, and I think it would be good.
Mm-hmm. We have the whole IC title thing going on. So, say, I don't know, what would you do for that one? Would you say perhaps,
do they both defend a title? Like Shawn defends an IC title and Razor defends an IC title?
That would be pretty funny.
That'd be fun. Shawn could defend against, maybe, is the Tatanka back by then?
Yeah, because isn't he supposed to be in the 10-man tag?
Yeah.
So why don't we do that then? I like that. Shawn Michaels, a rematch from the year before.
Yep.
From WrestleMania 9. So we'll have Shawn Michaels versus Tatanka for the IC title, and I'm just typing IC now. Because it's kind of late.
And Razor defends his IC title.
Against Diesel?
No, I don't know if I want to put Diesel in there yet. Let me just
I feel like we need Diesel in a match on this card though, coming off the Hot Rumble. But we'll think about that in a minute.
I'm just having a look at who's on the list of guys at this point of time. IRS.
That would be interesting.
Did he or was that? Who did he? He hasn't defended that. That's not till the following year. That whole storyline. So yeah, it could be a match against IRS.
IRS, the other IC championship.
Yeah, and that can be the whole thing, and Razor has his match first. Razor has his match first, and it's the IC title, and then Shawn has his match against Tatanka, and Shawn forces the ring announcer to announce that it's for the Intercontinental Championship, and Bobby on commentary can be pumping it as, this is Bobby still there at this point? He hasn't left yet. When does he leave?
Bobby Heenan?
When did he leave? No, he was gone.
No, Bobby's gone. Bobby
so Lawler.
Bobby left in December.
So Jerry will be on commentary. So Jerry is saying this is the real IC title match. This match, Razor wasn't. That was a fake match, and then that can be a whole storyline for the ladder. So yeah, I think that'd be fun.
Okay, how about Owen Hart? Because Owen obviously is hot right now. How about Owen against? Let's see.
I don't know that I'd have Owen in a match. You could have Owen on commentary for the Brett Luger versus Yokozuna Crush match.
Good guy. That's true. Yeah. Okay.
And Owen could talk, and Owen could be talking about how he's going to beat Brett at WrestleMania. And so, everything that happens here is irrelevant because he's going to beat Brett.
How about Quebecers and I can't do the Heavenly Bodies. They're heels.
Look, if you're wanting a match, I thought might be worth putting on, because I heard you say you wanted to maybe have Diesel on a match. So because you don't want to have too many matches. So if you put Diesel in a match against who can Diesel squash? Bob Holly, 1, 2, 3 Kid. Diesel could flatten the Kid.
Yeah, I would do that. 1, 2, 3 Kid. That works. Okay.
But I'm thinking February '94. You've just relaunched the women's division. I think you need to have Alundra Blaze defend the women's title.
Yeah, because she does defend it at WrestleMania.
Yes.
So
and
maybe
she
have
hasn't,
Alundra against, I don't know.
Luna Vachon?
Yeah, why not? Because she's, I like that, Dave. Because she's, she's with, she's as they said, Bigelow's main squeeze, as they kept saying.
Yeah.
So, all right. And I want a segment. Tell me if I want a segment with Yoko and Cornette with Perfect and Piper to
trying to
make sure either A, swayed them, or B, they want to make sure that these are legitimate refs for the two title matches that Yoko has to wrestle.
Yoko doesn't have to be in the segment, but Cornette's in there. You can have Cornette wanting to see their credentials. And both of them, and maybe he sees them each one at a time. And the first one, Perfect, you just have to trust me. I'm the perfect referee. I've always got my credentials are just in this dressing room. Why don't you come in and I'll show you? And then later on, like you could have another segment later on where he's asking the same thing of Piper, where your credentials, and Piper could just do the whole, scare Cornette, be Roddy Piper, scare him out, and Cornette does a run.
Right, exactly. Yep. All right, so here's our card for, say, Valentine's Day weekend in 1994. So say about a month out of WrestleMania 10, which would be March 20th at the Garden. Bret Hart and Lex Luger versus Yokozuna and Crush. I like that. Shawn Michaels against Tatanka for one IC belt. Razor Ramon versus IRS in the other IC belt. Roddy Piper and a Mr. Perfect Jim Cornette segment, talking about kind of the referees for the two title matches. Diesel against the 1-2-3 Kid, and Alundra Blaze defends the women's title against Luna Vachon. That's a good card. That's a good card.
Yep.
That's a good card. All right. I think we're hitting some home runs tonight, Dave. I really do. Yeah. I think we're hitting some home runs. I think we're doing some nice builds here for some shows that probably needed it. All right. Let's shoot ahead. Let's go to May. Because King of the Ring will be on Sunday, June 19th in Baltimore with our good friend Art O'Donnell.
I think coming into this, there's a couple of key elements that need to be part of the focus. I think one of those elements needs to be around Diesel defending the IC title. Maybe I wouldn't have a rematch against Razor at this point, but he needs to defend the IC title and absolutely flatten the guy with the jackknife. Whoever he defends the IC title against, it's Jackknife City, so that you're setting up how powerful that jackknife is for when he meets Bret Hart at Saturday night's main event. And I think there needs to be a little bit of a focus on Owen. Owen having his King of the Ring qualifier.
Yep.
I think those are two elements that need to be on there, because Owen can get on the mic and say before his match how he's going to win the King of the Ring. He's going to do what his brother did last year. I'm going to win King of the Ring, and then I'm going to go on and win the world title from you, my brother Bret.
Okay, so let me give you, Dave, and let me know if you think any of these matches are worthy of putting on the show. These are the qualifiers for the tournament. Now, in this year, in 94, the whole tournament was on the pay-per-view. Four qualifiers, 2 semis, and, of course, Owen beat Razor in the final.
Didn't they do the preliminary round in 94?
They did a first round. They were all on TV. Here were the matches. Tell me if any of these you would. I'm not talking. I mean, the quality of the match we could. I mean, that's why we do the show we do, because through the looking glass we can make these matches better. But these were the qualifiers, and these were all on TV. Quang against Razor Ramon. Bam Bam Bigelow against Sparky Plug, against Bob Holly, Sparky Plug. IRS Scott Steiner. Mabel Pierre Ouellette. Doink Owen. Crush Tatanka, 1-2-3 Kid Adam Bomb, and Jeff Jarrett and Lex Luger. Now, there's a note here. It says, in a May 30th, 94 King of the Ring qualifying match, Crush, replacing the originally announced Jimmy Del Rey, and Tatanka wrestled to a double countout. The two wrestled again on Raw in a lumberjack match for the final slot, and Tatanka won.
Well, I think you could put that match on. You could put the rematch on Saturday night's main event.
All right, so we could do. Tatanka
versus Crush.
Tatanka versus Crush in a lumberjack match.
Yep, absolutely.
We'll do the lumberjack. 210 versus lumberjack. KOTR qualifier. Okay. The rest of those qualifiers
who was Owen's first round against?
Owen's TV qualifier was against Doink. Now that's Ray. What's his name? Ray.
I know.
Whatever.
I mean, we could change who his qualifier is against and have Owen's qualifier match on TV. Who were the other? Who were the other matches?
Quang and Razor.
That's another possible TV match. I mean, it's Savio under the mask.
Right. So it's not a total piece of crap. Quang versus Razor Ramon. KOTR qualifier. It is Bigelow against Sparky Plug. IRS Scott Steiner. That could be stiff shit.
Yeah, that was only, but you got to remember that was part of the Steiners on the way out the door. That was sort of that really. They brought Scott in just to do it, but that was sort of the only match he had in about 6 weeks. So
yeah, it's true. Yeah, so that match didn't mean much of anything. That was just to get IRS over.
Owen could beat Holly. Owen could beat Holly on Saturday night's main event.
Okay, so we can add that. We'll switch it up a little bit. Do Owen Hart versus Bob Holly. KOTR.
So essentially, you've got 3 qualifying matches on Saturday night's main event. You've got Owen and Bob Holly, Tatanka Crush, and Razor Quang.
Right, and Tatanka Crush will be a lumberjack match, so that match has a little extra sizzle to it.
Yeah.
Now, what do we do with Brett as champion?
Well, I was just thinking, I was saying we want Diesel in, but maybe do we have a tag match, Brett and a partner versus Sean and Diesel?
How about, because we do see him at King of the Ring, how about we have the reuniting of the Hart Foundation, and we have the Anvil come back there.
Oh yes, and you don't foreshadow anything of what Anvil's going to do, but no, yeah, Brett. Yes, the return of that. Oh, I think that would be a fantastic attraction.
Yeah,
and it ends in a schmoz. It's got to be. I think what you could do is Diesel levels Brett with the jackknife, and as he goes for the pin, Anvil comes in to break it up, and then the match, and then just Sean enters the ring, and then it just descends into chaos, and the ref calls for the bell and DQs both teams.
Yeah. Yep. That's fine with me.
I love the reunion of Hart Foundation. Yes,
I agree.
Could preempt it, and then it plays in a little bit more that it's got the family member at ringside. Yes.
I like that. All right, so Hart Foundation against Shawn Michaels and Diesel, the 3 King of the Ring qualifiers.
You could probably leave it there, or you could do a head shrinkers Quebecers rematch for the tag titles, because I think the Shrinkers had just won the belts.
I believe you're right, because they hold the belt throughout the summer, and then they stupidly lose to fucking Diesel and Shawn, which is dumb. But all right, I like that. We get a little title match action there, and that's good for a whole card. That's 5 matches right there. So we have the 3 King of the Ring.
They won the titles.
Yep.
They won the titles in May. So this would be, they won the titles on TV on May 2. So this could essentially be the rematch.
Yeah. I'm solid with that. So say so we have Head Shrinkers Quebecers for the tag titles, Hart Foundation against Shawn and Diesel, and then the 3 qualifiers Owen, Bob Holly, Quang Razor, and then the main event, or the last match. I guess the main event would be Hard Foundation, Shawn Diesel.
Yeah.
You could do Tatanka Crush in the Lumberjack as the last match if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because Brett,
love that.
I would start the match. I would start the night with Owen because Owen's announcing what he's going to do. So Owen's on the mic and has a bit of a preamble to his match, and sort of that sets up the whole King of the Ring, everything that's going to happen. But then the Hart Foundation versus Diesel and Shawn will probably be the second match on the card, but as the main event. Third match on the card. Maybe have them separated by one of the other King of the Ring qualifiers.
I like that. Yes, I like that a lot. I think that's a good card. I think it boosts a King of the Ring. Now remember, we have no Vince. Vince, of course, is dealing with the steroid trial at this point, so we don't have Vince on commentary.
So we'll have Jim Ross.
Yep, we'll have JR and Lawler. Well, a harbinger of things to come, JR and Lawler. Yeah.
We might have we probably have JR and Randy Savage.
Could have Savage. And we could have an inset promo with Art O'Dono preparing for his big appearance in Baltimore at the King of the Ring.
Backstage interview with Art O'Donovan announcing he'll be at Saturday night's main at King of the Ring as guest commentator. You could just Todd Pettengill can do the the little interview spot in the back.
Yep.
He can. I loved you on the football field. You were so great, and we're so excited to have you. And then of course, then you cross back to JR and Randy, and they can say, "Oh, that'll be a great night. It'll be great to have him join our team for this special event." And Randy could say, Randy could just throw it. I wonder how much he actually knows about wrestling.
Yeah, he's going to be fascinated with how much people weigh. So, all right, let's move ahead now because this is an important Saturday main event. This might be one of our most important ones. Let's look ahead to say, once again, last weekend of July or the first weekend in August. So last Saturday in July or first Saturday in August, because SummerSlam is July 29th. Mm-hmm. It is the first event in the brand new, sexy United Center in Chicago, home of your Chicago Bulls. Now, we got a lot of shit to do here because I think instantly, we have to have a segment with DiBiase and Underfaker.
Yeah, Underfaker in a match. I agree. I would have him in a match.
Okay, so Underfaker against I don't know,
Bob Holly, Marty
Jannetty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Down in Scrubville.
Yeah, Scrubville. I like that. Sorry, Taker Marty Jannetty. Underfaker Marty Jannetty, and DiBiase could cut a promo or be on commentary saying, doesn't he look amazing, JR or Vince? I mean, here he is. Undertaker's back. He's the Taker we all knew he would be. You guys, the WWF fans have ruined him and made him soft. Blah blah blah, all that kind of thing. And obviously, we won't see the real Taker. He will still debut. He will still make his big return at SummerSlam. Yeah. We won't ruin that. I think we need to have some type of segment involving Owen and Brett and a cage.
Mm-hmm.
A cage.
Yep.
I'm not saying that we should have a match of any sort in a cage by any stretch, but I think a something involving the cage, and I think that's something that obviously we need to
Are you wanting an interview?
Highlight.
Are you wanting an interview segment, or are you just wanting the fact that there's a cage around.
I kind of like to have the cage present.
What if does it need to be a full size ring? I mean, because they're not going to want to set up the full cage for the ring.
No, that's dumb for nothing. Yeah, that's stupid.
So what about this then? Let me throw this out there as an idea, because I was thinking I agree. You've got to have something to promote that match. You've got Brett, you've got Owen, but you don't want them facing each other. But you've just had Anvil come back. What if Brett faced Anvil and Owen's in a cage? Owen's in like a cage at ringside so he can't interfere.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. That works.
And then Owen can talk about, I'm in the cage tonight, pre-match promo. I'm in the cage tonight. Next time I'm in a cage, it'll be with you, Brett. But whereas I won't, I'm not allowed out of this cage tonight. When we meet, I'll be leaving the cage and claiming the world title or something like that. Yeah, you could sort of play into that whole idea.
Okay, so Owen. Let's see. So Owen.
And it's non-title. Brett and Anvil is a non-title. It's not a world title match.
No. Nope. Bret Hart versus Jim Neidhart. Owen promo. Okay. Maybe Bret. I think we need Lex Luger and Tatanka.
Yeah.
In some kind of tag match to kind of build on that.
Yeah, against members of the $1 Million Corp, against like Bam Bam Bigelow or Nikolai Volkov and like IRS, like against members of the $1 Million Corporation.
And then Tatanka could keep barking at Lex like, you're not trying hard enough because they're secretly your friends and all that.
But yeah, and you could even have, maybe part of it could be that Tatanka takes the pinfall loss. When he goes for what would be the hot tag, DiBiase has grabbed Luger on the leg, pulled him off the apron. So Luger's arguing with DiBiase at ringside, just as Tatanka would go for the hot tag to tag out. And then, whoever is in the, Bam Bam Bigelow then rolls him up for the win. So Tatanka loses the match. From his perception, like the way they can do it on the TV, his perception is Luger wasn't there for him when he went to tag out. Everyone in the crowd and on TV can see that Luger was not at fault, but it plays into that allows Tatanka to play it up even further. You weren't there for me. You sold out. You didn't even want to tag in at the end of the match.
Right. Yeah, I would definitely go with that. Yeah. Yep. Because I think we need to build on that. The fans start to get mildly frustrated, do we not see what's going on here? And then somebody, of course, on Livewire is like, yeah, I think Tatanka joined the group. All right, we got to hang the phone up. I still think that's pretty funny.
So I think the other key storyline element building to SummerSlam is you need something with Diesel, Shawn, and Razor.
Oh, of course.
I'm not saying you have Chuck Norris there for this, but you obviously are building to. Is it? No, it's not Chuck Norris this time. It's Walter Payton.
Walter Payton, yep, because it's in Chicago. Yep.
Yeah, you're not necessarily going to have Walter Payton there, but they could announce it, as part of a random. And I don't know if this is a tag match, if Diesel and Shawn are facing Razor and Kid, or if it's Diesel versus 1, 2, 3 Kid for the IC title and Shawn and Razor at ringside. I just think it needs to be some element where Diesel, Shawn, and Razor are all involved.
Okay. Do we want to do a tag? Do we want to do just a singles rematch of Shawn versus Razor?
With Diesel at ringside?
With Diesel at ringside, kind of, holding the IC belt. And
does it play into? I'm just with the direction that storyline's going. I think it'd be better for Diesel to be defending the IC title, because if Sean's in the match, I don't know that you would want you don't want Razor to lose, but I don't know that you want Diesel and Sean to be coming out on top.
Sure.
Because you don't want them to, because Diesel's going in as champ. So I think it would be better if Diesel was in a match defending the IC title, but the others were all at ringside. Sean's at ringside, Razor comes down. Like I said, that's why it might be 1, 2, 3 Kid, because then you've got justification for Razor coming out with Kid as his second. You know, Razor, Diesel and Sean come out first. 1, 2, 3 Kid's announced as the challenger. He takes about 5 steps out, stops, and then points to the curtain. Razor's music hits, and he comes out with him.
Right. Okay.
But he's obviously not dressed to wrestle. Like, he's in his jeans or whatever, so it's not dressed to wrestle. But that way he's at ringside, and Diesel wins the match. But, you know, Razor and everyone, you know, they can all sort of have their thing, and that's, you know, makes it clear. And then after the match, they can, you know, announce, it's been announced that Walter Payton's going to be, you know, going to be at ringside in Chicago.
How about Diesel and, like, I think he's a face at this point, Adam Bomb?
Yeah. Again, just as, yeah, whoever it is, Diesel defends the title, and just Razor will come out with whoever the challenger is.
Right. Okay. And I mean, that could be it. We could stretch that show out to an hour and a half.
The other thing you probably want to, if you're looking for adding anything else, I think this is where we come back to the women's division.
Well, I was just thinking that.
Alundra Blaze in a match, and Bull Nakano is at ringside watching, or Bull Nakano in a match,
I like the opposite,
and Alundra's watching.
Yeah, I like the opposite. Bull Nakano.
Yeah.
Gosh, she's so good. I like Bull Nagano, and
it can be another Japanese. It can be just another one of the Japanese crew. She beats that but Bull wins the match, and Alundra can be a guest commentator.
Yeah, and she just beats the tar out of her. With Alundra on commentary with Vince. Yeah, I like that.
And Jerry, and because we said Vince isn't going to be there.
No, he's back. That's May.
He's back by then.
No, July. By July, he's back. The trial's over.
But Jerry's baiting her the whole time. How are you going to be able to stand up to, you know, and Vince could even, you know, Jerry could be going, she's going to be too powerful for you. And Vince could go, well, yeah, that's actually a good question, Alundra. You know, she's very strong. How are you going to combat that in your match?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And again, I like pushing Bull because she was just so damn good. God, she was good. Oh, Bull Nakano. Yeah, I love her. So, all right. So our episode for late July, early August of '94, we have Under Faker against Marty Jannetty, Bret Hart versus Jim Neidhart with Owen cutting a promo after, Lex Luger Tatanka against Bam Bam Bigelow and IRS, Diesel versus Adam Bomb for the Intercontinental title, and Bull Nakano and against some jobber that they bring in.
Yeah.
With Alundra Blaze on commentary. That's actually a pretty damn good show. That's actually a pretty damn good show. Dave, I wish we could just go back in time. Some days I just really want to go back in time. All right, so, and then, of course, SummerSlam happens, and that SummerSlam is great. That's actually one of my, well, except for the main event. The main event's trash, but Bret and Owen is, actually, Taker and Razor, let me do that again. Razor and Diesel is a great match.
That's a good match.
Bret and Owen is an all-timer.
Yep.
And Taker Faker is, well, Taker Faker. So
that's an all-timer as well. That's an all-time trash.
Yeah, it's all-time on the other side of the coin. It's Brian Lee's greatest hits. All he needed was 15 tables, like when he feuded with Tommy Dreamer at ECW. All right, so let's fast forward again a couple months. Let's go to October of '94. Let's say we don't do Halloween gimmick again. We could do maybe middle of October as we head towards Survivor Series on November 23rd in San Antonio. I I think we definitely have to something with Bob Backlund and to promote his craziness. So,
so when did he flip out?
The summer. It was like August.
Okay, so I'm thinking, what if you have Backlund in a match? Because we don't always have to have Brett in matches. We've had Brett a lot, but what if you have Backlund in a match where he flips out and he locks someone in the crossface?
Crossface chicken wing. Yeah.
And won't let it go. And that sort of so you've got that preempt, and Brett ends up going in to break the hold. Like he attacks him to break the hold. So, I mean, look, maybe Backlund faces Bulldog.
Oh, that could be interesting. I like that. That could work. British Bulldog. Okay. That could work. That could work. Now
I think you need Shawn and Diesel in a tag match. They're the tag champions. They need to have a tag title match, and they need to have Shawn needs to be showboating and upstaging Diesel. Diesel hits the jackknife, and Shawn tags himself in and comes in for the easy pin, or something that plays into the tension that we're going to see at Survivor Series.
They defend. Well, they got to defend the tag titles. Yep. So how about they go against? I don't know.
Can we put it against the Smoking Guns?
Yeah, why not? Why not? It's a good title match. I like that. Smoking Guns Tag Team Championship. Yeah, why not? I like that. And then there could be some mild shenanigans because, they had that they had that banger on Action Zone, and then but the we've already had some screw ups. Shawn fucked up at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
He could screw up here, and then obviously the ultimate screw up at Survivor Series. So
there could be a minor screw up, like maybe he goes for the sweet chin music, but manages to stop this time, or they're doing the holding on the ropes, and Shawn bounces off the ropes, and one of the guns moves, so he elbows Diesel, who gets hot, but then they're able to calm down because it was an accident, it's all okay. And then, like I said, the match ends with Diesel hits the jackknife, but before he can actually make the pin, Shawn blind tags himself in and comes in and just gets the easy win.
Yeah.
And Diesel can be sort of glaring at him like, why'd you do that? I had the match won. You didn't need to.
We were fine. Why did you, what's your problem?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
I think you need to
something
have
with Taker.
Well, before we get to Taker, yes, we need something with Taker. I was thinking we need Luger versus Tatanka.
Oh, yeah. Because that never actually... I don't think that was ever actually a thing. I don't think that ever actually happened.
We never saw it after SummerSlam. We got Survivor Series, the Survivor Series team match, but we never saw them one-on-one on a scale like this.
Right. Yeah. And then
so here's the question. Do you have Taker in a match, or do you have Yoko in a match and Taker comes out?
I think you have Yoko in a match and Taker comes out.
Okay, so Yoko can squash anyone.
Yeah. Don't you always say Bob Holly? He was that. What up, Bob Holly? He'll job everybody.
Well, we could do Adam Bomb again. We could bring Doink out for a squash. Who else can be squashed at this time?
Yeah, I like Doink. I like Doink only because Jerry at commentary can bring out his little cheesy queasy. It can be the Matt Rotella segment of the show.
Yeah.
Cheesy queasy and sleazy come out and dink pink wink and all the midgets and oh Jesus God. I'll go to the bathroom during this and Matt Rotella could be in his glory because it's his favorite match in the history of the universe. So all right, so that gives us 4 matches. Now I'm not changing a title change. I'm moving a title change.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to do this, and I want it to be a good match, and I would be a little revolutionary. I'd have to get into Vince's head because I don't know if he would actually do this or not. But I want to just confirm looking at the okay, she won it on November 20th. Big Egg Wrestling Universe, whatever the hell that is. How about here? We can even do it in the main event if you want, because I think Vince would know that that would be another great match. How about we have the rematch from SummerSlam, Alundra Blaze, and Bull Nakano, and this is the match. Bull wins the title.
I love it. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So we move it up a month because she wins it in November in some
in Japan,
show in
by
Japan.
the sounds of it. Yeah.
Yeah, some show in Japan. I'd like to see Bull win it here.
Yep. Love it.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And that could be, like a match that you really boost. Because they had put on such an amazing match at SummerSlam. Vince could go, yeah, I know it's the women, but Alundra's good, and I'm actually giving us some decent women's matches. Fuck it, make it the main event. Who cares?
Yeah.
And then you make it a banger of a match. Give them 13, 14 minutes. Why not?
Yeah.
And then you have Bull win the title. Yeah, I definitely go for that. Not a bad little show for October. So
we're doing well.
So this is what we got. We got Bob Backlund versus British Bulldog to continue him flipping out as we head towards Survivor Series. Shawn and Diesel against Smoking Guns for the tag titles. Lex Luger Tatanka, Yoko Doink, and then Alundra and Bull for the women's title where Bull wins.
Yep.
And then Taker kind of floating in the background at Yoko as we head toward that. And maybe we get a Chuck Norris interview.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I'm going to ask you the same question I asked you the year before. Do we do a Saturday Night's Main Event in December, or do we skip it?
No, I think we do. I think we do because there's one match that I think needs to be on the show.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And that's the rematch. The rematch between Diesel and Bob Backlund.
Okay. I actually was saying to myself, okay, so I'm going to stick with that then, because I was going to ask you, do we move it off the MSG house show and do you want Diesel to win the belt here?
No, I think it should just be the rematch. That's
fine. That's fine.
That Diesel won it the way he did in the manner he did, and Backlund can do the whole I wasn't ready that night, but I'm ready for you tonight, and I'm coming, and you got lucky, and Backlund can be crazy, but you got lucky, and I'm here, and that's it.
Okay. How about we have I got one. British Bulldog.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. British Bulldog, if I can spell that right, versus Jeff Jarrett. Winner gets Razor at the Royal Rumble for the IC belt.
I like it, yeah.
Okay. That way we set up Jeff Jarrett gets his setup, and we get our match at the Royal Rumble for the IC belt.
Yep. I think
how do we?
I
Oh, go ahead. Go
sorry.
ahead.
What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, how do we? My next thing. How do we start? What's your take on how do we start the storyline with which I think is just crap, but we have to do it with Taker and the urn and all that and the fucking corporation, all that crap. That storyline just makes me nauseous. But
I always felt that storyline flowed out of the Underfaker match because it's all about DiBiase. So,
right,
you know, maybe it is. Maybe it's Undertaker versus another member of the $1 Million Corporation. It can't be. Maybe he beats up on Bigelow, and that sets your journey towards Bigelow being in the tag title tournament and then losing that and sort of the trajectory of heading towards WrestleMania where Bigelow's against Lawrence LT, and it all comes down to the fact that this just starts the journey of Bigelow consistently letting down DiBiase.
Okay.
But then tied in with that is you're talking about like stealing the urn and stuff. So maybe in the process of it, you know, they attack. You know, another member of the corporation comes out and you know, Kama comes out and attacks, or you know, Tatanka or someone comes out and attacks Paul Bearer, or even DiBiase wallops Paul Bearer to grab the urn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Something of that nature. Something of that nature. So what would you want to, like, what would you make for the...
So I think the match could be Taker versus Bigelow.
Okay. All right. Do we push...
I think again, we're building to Royal Rumble. Diesel's won the title and he's got his rematch. We've got Bulldog in a match against Jarrett, and I think Jarrett needs to win that by cheating. He can even win it by count out for all I care. Like, I don't necessarily want Davey to lose to pinfall because we know he's going to end up as one of the prime roles at Royal Rumble. The other one is Shawn. We need Shawn in a match.
I have a match. How about...
Yep.
Ready for this? How about... I already used Bulldog, but that's okay. How about Brett? Oh, how about this match? Ooh, I like this. Brett and Razor versus Shawn and Owen.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Because Brett owes Owen for the dropping the belt at Survivor Series. Razor, Shawn still hate each other. And you get the four main, you get four guys on the show.
Yeah.
You start talking about the Rumble. We start building the show. It takes place on I always try to look at the date because it's kind of helpful. The 22nd of January. So, this could be the weekend before, or it could be Christmas weekend or even New Year's weekend if you want.
New Year's weekend, and you could have it as Brett's return to the ring.
Right.
First time he's been in the ring since Survivor Series.
Right. He was convalescing his arm and shoulder after being in the chicken wing for, like 9 minutes or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're pushing the the build to the first big show of 1995, the Royal Rumble. So,
yeah.
All right. God, another banger. Dave, we're killing it tonight. Pushing the storylines. Yes. All right. And you know what, Dave? We got it done we almost got it done in just under 2 hours. I'm very impressed because we got one more show.
We got one more.
One more show. One more. And this will be the first weekend of March, 1995. So we'll say about a month before WrestleMania 11. Shawn has won the Rumble. So he is facing Diesel. That's locked in stone.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Jeff Jarrett is your Intercontinental Champion. Smoking Guns are your tag champs, and of course, there's the whole, Yoko returns, that kind of thing.
Yep.
We obviously need to have something with Bigelow and LT.
Yep. So I think we go old school, main event build to WrestleMania. I think you Diesel and Razor versus Shawn and Jarrett is your big players there, because you've obviously got the relationship between Diesel and Razor, and then Shawn and I think that ties all those guys together. I think you want Bam Bam Bigelow in a match. I think this is where you have. I think Bigelow needs to be in a match. LT. You need to have some sort of maybe this is an interview segment or an arm wrestling or a tackling or something like that, like blocking in the in the ring, like there's sort of, it's not a match, it's just some form of confrontation between Bigelow and Lawrence Taylor. I was thinking you could go back to the arm wrestling style thing. You could have them arm wrestle.
Yeah. Or some type of calisthenics thing, push-ups or some kind of workout.
One of those workout sort of things, and of course Bigelow sneak attacks, which is part of the reason why LT wants his all pros at ringside with him.
Right. Yep. No, I agree with you on that. I like that a lot. That works. Okay.
I think what you could do to build to the tag title match at Mania, Smoking Guns have a title defense against Heavenly Bodies. Well done. Again, the tag division in 95 sucks dirt anyway.
Oh, it's awful.
But the Smoking Guns defend the title. Owen is on commentary, and at the end of the match, Owen stands up, grabs the mic, challenges the Smoking Guns to a match at WrestleMania against him and a mystery partner of his choice.
Okay. Who would the mystery partner be? Interesting. Who would the mystery partner be?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Be very interesting.
So the only ones the only key players that are missing, we haven't got Undertaker on there doing anything, whether he's in a match or does something. And again, you've got your whole corporation thing going on at this time. So you could just have Taker beating up another member of the $1 Million Corporation. And we don't have anything with Brett.
We don't have anything with Brett. And here's the thing. Maybe Brett does an interview with Backlund, pumping up their match. And I think this is where we get, on camera, the return of Piper.
Yeah, in-ring interview. Look, we haven't done one in a long time. Maybe even a contract signing. Bring
back my contract signings.
and then it's announced. And then it's announced that Piper will be the referee. Piper comes out, shakes Brett's hand, and then Backlund pushes him away and doesn't want to have anything to do with him, and they just get some jaw jacking.
Right. Sure. Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like, you get some old school fans on, get some eyeballs there and boost that match. Do you have Backlund well, you're not going to put Piper in the chicken wing because he ain't going to.
No, I just think he pushes him away. Like Backlund, Piper goes up and he shakes Brett's hand. So I think you've got it might be Vince. Vince is doing this interview. Is hosting the contract signing. Okay. And so they sign the contract, And then Vince announces, yes, they've signed the contract, but ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to reveal to you now is that the World Wrestling Federation have announced a special guest referee for this match. And that referee is, Rowdy. He's here tonight, Rowdy Roddy Piper. So Piper comes out. He shakes Vince's hand. He walks up to Brett in one corner and shakes his hand. He turns to walk around to Backlund. He puts his hand out to shake Backlund's hand, and Backlund pushes him away. And Vince and Brett can sort of hold Piper back, but you can just see they're verbally jawing each other with no mics, just sort of, yep. Backlund can be crazy faced and yelling, and Piper's yelling at him, and you just leave it at that.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I definitely want, if you're gonna have Piper, if you're gonna have Piper at WrestleMania, you wanna obviously, because obviously this pay-per-view was dying for buy rates, so yeah. You definitely want to announce ahead of time. You don't want that, obviously, that being a surprise would be stupid. Yeah. So you obviously want to announce that Piper's going to be at WrestleMania to give that some extra spinach, because it definitely needed it. And I think that gives us the boost, and perhaps Vince goes to Paul Tagliabue, the commissioner of the NFL, and maybe they do some kind of promotional thing, Super Bowl weekend, promoting WrestleMania, or promoting something. It is around January. It's after the Rumble. Do a promotion for WrestleMania, not necessarily, because the NFL guys are involved. We all know who won that Super Bowl, Dave. And we all know that Super Bowl was crap, Dave.
It was one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time.
The Super Bowl, Dave, was 2 weeks earlier. It was called the NFC Championship.
It was that way for many years.
Yeah, pretty much. We treated the AFC like crap, didn't we? You and I in the early 90s. It was awesome. Our NFC Championship game was always the Super Bowl, because I don't think Buffalo or the Chargers would have beat either of us in any of those years.
But I think that's one of the things that I think was a little bit sweet this year is the number of people leading into the AFC Championship game this year going, oh, Bills versus Chiefs, that's really the Super Bowl. So the fact that the Chiefs didn't win, right, I think really sort of just reiterated that, hey, it's not a foregone conclusion. Whereas back in the early 90s, it was a foregone conclusion. Whoever won the NFC match was winning the Super Bowl.
Right, exactly. Absolutely. I agree 100%. No two teams in the league in those 5 years were better than our two teams. We had all the talent. So, anyway, my point is,
you stole one of them from us anyway.
Well, you stole them from the Falcons. We just both stole them from the poor. It's actually the Falcons that probably got left in the dust, because at least Dion won 2 Super Bowls. So, anyway, my point is maybe Vince works something out with the NFL. Do a little extra pub for WrestleMania at the end of January for the Super Bowl, because it kind of needs it. Anyway, I think Vince would have tried to take advantage of that, because obviously 3 years later, when Vince tries it with Mike Tyson, the product is considerably better than what it is in '95, because the mainstream eyeballs go to WrestleMania, and then after that they're like, wow, but the rest of this stuff is the Blue Brothers, really? So nobody, nothing happens. But obviously WrestleMania 14 with Mike Tyson and Stone Cold, and then you get the product and go, wow, stuff's pretty good, and we're on our way. So anyway, so there's your last of what we call the last of the OG Saturday night's main events, because obviously after WrestleMania 11, Vince decides, as WCW had already been doing for the most part, Vince decides to go obviously with the in your house concept. He's like, listen, if we're going to do specialty shows, might as well make a little scratch, because I'm kind of hurting hurting capital right now. So he decides to do, instead of Saturday main events or whatever, we get to obviously in your houses, which are kind of elevated Saturday main events, and obviously starting in May with In Your House 1 in Syracuse, WWE goes to monthly pay-per-views. And so the Saturday's main event, by that point, there's no doubt if we were in this alternate universe, by March, April of 1995, Saturday's main event was definitely past its usefulness. So, but Dave, I think we had a blast tonight. I had an absolute blast. I love card making. That's one thing that going back to going back to the Place to Be podcast, JR and I always had a blast making cards and inventing stuff and sculpting shows and things. And I'm glad that you and I have done it a few times with certain topics here on the show. But tonight was a lot of fun. I enjoyed kind of doing that because as a kid, I was 11, Dave. I was 11 when I was 3 weeks shy of my 12th birthday when the first Saturday Night's Main Event happened in May of 1985. So Saturday Night's Main Event's always been a part of my childhood and a part of my upbringing in my pop culture life, going back to the mid-'80s. So I've always loved it as a brand. I was very happy when WWE brought it back in December in Long Island. I wish I was able to go. I had a high school reunion that night, so I couldn't go. I know D'Amato went. He said it looked awesome. We heard Animotion by Obsession by Animotion. Cody came out with the Winged Eagle. I mean, it was just fantastic. So I'm very happy that they use it again. And we had a second one in San Antonio. What was it? Just after the Rumble? I guess it was just before the Rumble. And I'm sure we'll have another Saturday Night's Main Event. Let me double check something before we go. I want to see if Saturday's Main Event, if the next one has already been booked. Let me take a look.
I think it has. I'm pretty certain it has.
Yeah, you know what? You're probably right. Okay, Royal Rumble 2025, because I think they're going in that order with the. Let's see. Well, Vengeance Day was last night. NXT Vengeance Day took place. Where the fuck was that? It was in DC. Then the Chamber. We'll talk about the Chamber in just a moment. That's March 1st. Oh, Cena's on the Chamber poster.
Yes.
And then it has Stand and Deliver. So I don't see. Let's do this. Let's type Saturday Night's Main Event and see. Let's look ahead and see. Let's see. Let's see. So that was Nassau Coliseum. And then the next one was Toronto. Oh, here we go. The next one. No, they haven't announced the next one yet. I thought they did too.
According to Peacock's schedule, WWE will host a Saturday Night's Main Event on July 12 in Texas. Oh, no, sorry, on the same day as All In Texas.
Oh, that's right. Those sons of bitches. They're never going to leave they're never going to leave for AEW alone. Oh, shit.
January 25 in San Antonio.
Yep. So January 25th in San Antonio. So looking ahead to the rest of the year.
Oh, that was the last one. Sorry. The next one's July 12.
Yeah. So we have the Chamber March 1st, and then we have April 19th is Stand and Deliver, the NXT show, Mania weekend, and then of course Mania.
Although it's noted here that there's also apparently a listing for Saturday Night's Main Event on Memorial Day weekend in May, which is the weekend that AEW usually hosts a Double or Nothing.
Double or Poor Tony Khan. Oh, shit. Yes, there was a Saturday Night's Main Event May 24th, which is the 39th one. And then Saturday Night's Main Event July 12th, as you mentioned, Dave. That will be the 40th one.
Yeah.
Then, of course, SummerSlam is, which I will be going to, at MetLife beginning of August. And then August 31st is Clash in Paris, which doesn't sound as good as Clash, Clash at the Castle, to be honest. But anyway. No. And then, of course, next year, the Royal Rumble's in Saudi Arabia, and SummerSlam's already been announced for Minneapolis next year. So, anyway, all right. So the next Saturday Night's Main Event is May 24th. There you go. Okay. So I had a blast. I had a great time. Dave, you're the greatest. Wonderful job tonight, as always. You could check Dave. He hangs around our Facebook pages. Feel free to hit him up for opinions and thoughts on future show topics, as you can I as well. You can also check Dave out on Chronoso. Where are you up to right now? What do you guys?
Oh my goodness, we just dropped last week our WrestleMania 6 episode, over 4 hours of amazing entertainment. No, it is a very good show. A lot of guys. I had the privilege of culminating the journey of Demolition, regaining the tag titles. But more fun was Steve Bennett watched the main event, the Hogan Warrior main event, for the first time since he attended it as a child.
Wow.
So that's a really good listen. So yeah, WrestleMania 6 just dropped last week, and so we're going to start the next few episodes are going to be building between Mania and SummerSlam 1990.
All right. Speaking of the aforementioned Demolition, I'm going to pull a JR and call myself your boy, because he used to always do that when he got something right. This guy on Main Event, on PlayStation Nation's Main Event, and on various chats I've had, I called that Mr. Levesque, of course, is going in to the WWE Hall of Fame. Can mend fences, Dave.
Oh, yes.
He could probably end the Russia-Ukraine war. Because now,
actually, that's a really good quote. Yeah.
Because now, when everyone's standing at the boulevard, at the strip in Vegas, everyone's gonna point off in the distance. Dave, who is that coming through the desert? Who are those two guys coming at us? And someone's gonna go, well, here comes the Axe, and here comes the Smasher.
Absolutely.
I called it. Demolition signed a Legends deal, and you know what that means. Every time a Legends deal signed,
that means the greatest of all time are going into the Hall of Fame. They truly can be called the GOATs.
Dave. Oh, God, I am so pumped. I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's about time.
I agree.
That's all I can
5,000%. A zillion%.
I'm telling you now, if they go into the Hall of Fame, if they bring them out at WrestleMania, that music is going to blow the roof off the place. There's no roof on the stadium, is there? But it is going to.
Yes, there is. Yes, Allegiant has a roof.
Oh, they can blow the roof
Allegiant
off
Stadium
it, because
has a roof. Yes.
I think when at either the Hall of Fame induction and the WrestleMania appearance that the Hall of Famers always do, I cannot see. I think it is going to be possibly one of the biggest ovations a Hall of Famer has ever got.
Absolutely.
when they appear.
I absolutely agree.
In their paint.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right.
And just to top it off, right? Even we'll go one step further. They can go out and win the tag titles as well. They probably still could, you know.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, God. They could beat Ivar and whatever. They could beat the War Raider, whoever has the belts. I don't even know. I forgot. That would be pretty great. Here's my prediction. I was talking to Rotella and I were talking about this at work the other day. My next two picks for the Hall of Fame class. I had said Michelle McCool, but according to an interview she did, she says, I will only go into the Hall as Lay Cool.
Did you
see Michelle McCool? I think Layla will join her.
Have you seen the then you might have missed it was online over the weekend that Undertaker and Michelle McCool were being interviewed on a TV show, and Triple H appeared on screen and announced that Michelle McCool was going in.
Oh, I totally missed that. Well, yeah, breaking news. So Michelle McCool is going in. So I was right on that too. My God, I'm 3-3. My next guy, Rick Martel.
He deserves. I really
How is
hope
he not
you're
in,
right.
Dave? How is he
I
not
really hope you're right. He deserves it. And is he going to be inducted by Tito?
in? Thank you, Tito. You're still a loser. It's so great.
I think that would be fantastic. That really would.
So we'll see. Anyway, everybody, thanks for joining us. Dave, you're the best. We will talk. We have a topic planned. Join us. We will have a great show for you in March. We're going to do, because WrestleMania's in April this year, we're already going to tell you that March will not be the WrestleMania episode. We're going to do the WrestleMania episode in April, and we'll tell you what we're going to do when we get there. But we have a fun little topic planned for you for March. We'll keep it a secret, and we'll make you wait. Join us for all the great stuff. Later this month, Greg and I will have the next episode of Wrestle Tracks. You, the listener, voted on what you want Greg and I to do next, and you will see that show later this month. And all the other great stuff. Luke Jennings and all of the myriad of wonderful shows he does here on the network. And, of course, the rest of the Quadapods, the No-So, Pop Experience, Jenny Position, and, of course, the Backbone. Dave, always the best. Always. Everyone enjoy, and we'll see you in March through the looking glass.